Welcome to another episode of EpicEarth, a podcast for those curious about the STEM fields and the awesome, quirky, and fun experiences and research that is taking place right now. This is episode number 4. We be Clubbin. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride as we take a journey around this epic Earth.
I'm Brian Rosenblatt, and I have fellow host Ashley Bosa with us.
Hi, everybody.
Sadly, Scott Gavain was not able to make it, but I have wonderful guest Tamara Satterwhite.
Hey.
Welcome. So Tamara is an undergrad in our Geosciences department, and you are a senior?
Correct. I'll be graduating this spring.
Yay! Congratulations! And Tamara is an awesome student. We've had the opportunity to work with her quite a lot on our team and also just within the department, and she's just a great student all around. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your background, Tamara? Like where you are from and what got you to BSU and what you're working on right now?
So it's a little bit of a long story, but I'll keep it brief. I grew up in Twin Falls, Idaho, and I went to school at College of Southern Idaho right after graduating high school, where I studied anthropology. I didn't quite graduate because it was very expensive and I was paying out of pocket. So then I started going to school online, which was paid for by my work at the time, Starbucks. And then I started studying Spanish language and literature. And
nice.
In the meantime, since it was online, I thought I would move to one of the most beautiful places in the world, which is Montana. I lived there for 3 years and was trying to go to Montana State University, but they wouldn't give me residency because I was going to school online. So I was looking at other options, and I was like, I can go to school at Boise State. And I was a little bit begrudging of it because growing up in southern Idaho was like Boise State's where everybody goes.
Yeah.
But I was looking into some of the research that was done here and ended up stumbling upon a video by Jeff Johnson doing some volcano research at Santiaguito. And I was like, that is cool. That is what I want to do. And so
nice.
As soon as I got to Boise State, I emailed him constantly. I probably sent him like 5 different emails before he actually responded to me, and sought him out at events and finally got involved with some of his research.
That's great. By the way, our team does not just advocate for Jeff Johnson. Even though a lot of us work with him, there are some amazing professors here at BSU, and all of them are doing wonderful work. But it's great that we have people who also bring in a lot of great students like Tamara. Tamara, so just sort of thinking about it, can you tell us some of the benefits of doing, or more like the pros and cons of doing online versus being in school, like in person?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a comparison with COVID because we've just a sudden switch to online. I think that in general, for me personally, I like online school because it goes at my own pace, and I can do the assignments on my own time. I'm generally a night owl, and so I do not like to get up to go to class at 7 in the morning.
I'm also a night owl.
I think a lot of people in the geosciences are.
Yeah.
So doing that on my own schedule is really nice, but also you lack a lot of community support, which is one of the reasons why I decided to come back to campus.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, 3 months after coming back to campus was when we switched back to online. So I was like, I got these tools. I know how to do this.
Definitely.
But,
it's like you were like fully prepared.
Yeah, but it was a little bit of a bummer not really getting to know anyone right away. It took a lot of extra work to make friends and create a community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine. That must have been really difficult. I kind of was in a similar boat where I moved to Boise about 2 months before COVID shut everything down, but I was fortunate to meet a lot of wonderful people in the department beforehand, so that sort of helped a lot. Okay, so then you moved here, you're trying to make new friends, a lot's going on with COVID, and then you joined the GeoClub, is that right?
Yeah, so I actually joined the GeoClub as soon as I got here. We had a few in-person meetings, and then once everything was going online, the GeoClub also went online. So they had their bi-weekly meetings that were just through Zoom. They brought in a whole bunch of guest speakers, and it was a really great way to learn about what professionals were doing and all the different types of research that you could do within a geoscience background.
Yeah, that's great. And so were you just a member of that club, or were you involved in any other way other than just showing up to meetings and meeting all these cool people and doing cool things?
I got involved last spring with the GeoClub Officers. The vice president at the time, Jerry Mock, invited me to campaign to be the treasurer, which I did, and I won.
Because you're awesome.
So I was treasurer for about 3 months, and then we did our new elections for this year, so I'm currently the GeoClub President.
That's awesome. That's a really nice title to have, especially as an undergrad, to be in charge of a club. So that's really the reason why we have Tamara here today, is because she is the president of the GeoClub this year, and they also do really amazing stuff. And so we wanted to have her on so that she could explain to us what the club is about and some of the things that they're doing and how people can get involved. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the club? What does the club do? What does it represent? Who does it represent?
Of course. So the GeoClub, formerly called the Geoscience Club, is a group of basically anybody who's a Boise State member. It can be a graduate student or an undergraduate student who is interested in geoscience. So what we try to do is we try to build a community of members with a similar interest. And what we want to do is we want to provide education for topics outside of the classroom, like careers, or we also do workshops, which kind of give a little bit of skill building. And we also are working on developing a community service component, which is our community soils testing initiative, where we can have members of Ada County bring in soil samples, and then we will test them for pH and nitrates and a bunch of other different stuff to tell them what kind of soil do you have, can you grow things in it.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Do you find that you have people who are outside of the department that come in and join the club, or is it mostly just geoscience majors and grad students who are in the club?
It's the majority of the people are geoscience focused, whether that's undergraduates or graduates, but we also have a few members that are studying environmental science, and cool. We have kind of a little bit of a co-collaboration with the sustainability club. It's not a formal collaboration, but there's a lot of members from that club that come and join events that we have, and we'll try to go to some of theirs too.
Wow, that's really awesome. I like that idea of co-collaborating with other clubs.
Yeah, and it definitely brings in a lot of fresh ideas and new faces.
Yeah, I bet. That's super awesome. So anyone can get involved in the club, and that's across the board. Anyone from any department can come and join the club. Is there a specific way that people sign up for the club, or do they just come and sit in on meetings?
So in order to officially be a member of the club, you have to sign up through Engage, which is just a Boise State sort of club management software. Okay. It's super easy to do. Yeah. You basically just Google Boise State Engage, and then they have their whole list of clubs. You find the Geoscience Club or GeoClub, whatever they call it on that webpage, and then you just click, yep, I want to be in this club, and then it sends a request to join to me or another officer, and then we approve.
That's great. And are they free to join, or do you have to pay money for that?
Yeah, it's free to join.
That's awesome.
And if you join, you don't even have to show up to any of the meetings.
No attendance?
No attendance required.
You're just an honorary member of the Geoscience Club.
We do have some cool benefits of being in the club, though. If you serve 15 hours, or not serve 15 hours, but if you attend 15 hours of meetings or community service or workshops, then you can qualify for a senior cord for the Geoscience Club, which is very
sweet.
pretty. It's gold colored.
Wow. Of course, because we all like gold.
Of course.
How many members do you currently have?
Oh gosh, the last time I looked, we had about 63,
wow.
I think.
So is it how's the responsibility for you? Is it a lot to deal with all of that?
Yes and no. I think that my biggest struggle is trying to find things that are going to make other people excited.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be a club for the members and not really a club for the officers.
Of course.
So it's a little bit of a struggle to, especially now with COVID, because there's so many restrictions on what can we do that'll be engaging for the geoscience community, what kind of activities can we plan, and how can we best benefit members.
Yeah, sounds like you have a great mindset for El Presidente, so.
La Presidente.
Sorry, yeah, La Presidente.
Really?
It's
Or
just
no.
a joke that
Oh.
Jerry.
Oh.
Well, you got me.
Oh, we like to have fun here.
But,
One fun fact is the past 3 GeoClub presidents have all been women.
oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, promote the women in the STEM fields for sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, well, you're keeping that tradition alive and going well. It seems like they found like the perfect placement for the last president, Hannah Sparrow, who sadly left us to go do her PhD elsewhere. But yeah,
Yeah, Hannah left a really great, oh God, I forgot the word. Hannah was a great role model for a GeoClub president. She got a lot done and was really able to kind of set the expectation for what the GeoClub wanted to do and how we should execute it.
Nice.
That's awesome. It's nice to have that foundation set, basically, before you take over. I was a president of the GeoClub in my undergrad, and I kind of had to start from scratch, and that was not as fun, but we got things done. But yeah, definitely, I feel like coming in with some good foundational basics is always better.
Yeah, there's pros and cons. Like, it would be nice to build a club from scratch, but also it's great to have the foundation, like you said. But also, Hannah left some huge shoes to fill.
Yeah.
She was just incredible.
Yeah, if anyone can fill them, you can. I have no doubts about that because you're like a top-notch student and you do so much stuff already that, yeah, there's no worries. You're going to do amazing. So do you have things already planned for the year or for the semester that you want to bring up or kind of just broadly talk about in terms of what you'll be doing with GeoClub?
Yeah, so what we decided to do for this year is to break it up into 4 modules. So each one's going to be about 8 weeks long, talking about a very specific topic within geoscience. So our first one, this current module, is about kind of pathways after graduation. So whether that looks like career or graduate school, because I know a lot of students, especially undergraduate students, don't really know what they're going to do afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I especially don't know what I'm going to do. And so what I wanted is to kind of provide resources for those undergraduate students that are looking to make those kinds of decisions, what they need to do in order to apply for grad schools, how to select a grad school, or even how to like find jobs, like what kind of jobs to apply for, where to look for those jobs, because looking on Indeed does not really provide some good results.
Right. And a lot of people who are in our field especially tend to gravitate towards state or federal jobs, which are a whole different type of application. So I think learning how to navigate those applications is really useful. And it's awesome that the GeoClub is a resource for the students. That's really great. Do you, so your officers, how many officers run the club?
Including me, there's 6.
Okay, that's a good size. So you have a few people. Do you delegate much out to them? Do they each just do their own role and you guys come together and you're like, cool, we check those boxes? How does it
So since
operate?
it's the beginning of our year, it's a little bit unclear about how that's going to go.
Mhm.
Up to this point, it's just been talking about ideas that we're going to do for the year, but now that the year is here and we're actually starting to roll out some of these things, it's going to be a little bit more delegated. Essentially how it's going to work is we have those modules that I was mentioning, and there's going to be at least 2 officers that are in charge of the modules.
Cool.
So they'll like pick the topics, coordinate with guest speakers, and set up fun activities to do.
Great.
And I hope that I'm not going to be involved in all of them because it's a lot of work.
It is a lot, yeah, for one person especially, but And are all of your officers, are they all undergrads, or are there graduate students in there as well?
Yes, that is a requirement to be a GeoClub officer. Unfortunately, is you have to be an undergraduate student.
Okay. Well, I guess in some ways that makes sense, because really you're representing like a student body that's, grad students are grad students, right? Like they're involved in a bunch of other stuff,
Yeah,
but
you should save those opportunities for the undergrads.
yeah. So that's great that you can provide that for the undergrad students.
And it's fun, too.
Yeah, it is fun. I've gone to a couple of the meetings. I don't know that I've been to any of the outings yet, but the meetings have been fun. Like, just learning things I didn't know about, you know? And it's interesting to meet people with different backgrounds who come in and be like, hey.
Yeah, geoscience in general is so broad that there's always just something new that can be added, so.
That's very true, and that was one of the most surprising things about like being in a geoscience program, because when I came to Boise State, I had no idea what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's geophysics and geoscience and hydrology and
even then you start to narrow down your field, and you're still like, wow, there's still so much I can do. Like, it keeps getting sharper and sharper. Like,
it's a constant struggle not to niche myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Sometimes in graduate school you do that anyways,
Yeah,
and then you're like, wait a minute, I want to go back to the broader stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't just want to look at this one mineral for like the rest of my life.
So we heard a lot about GeoClub, and I kind of want to hear more about you and like your interests. So is there an aspect of geoscience that you particularly enjoy?
Obviously I absolutely love geophysics.
Nice. Good choice.
I actually only picked geophysics because the job sounded cooler than geology or hydrology. But it's actually funny, I started out more in a hydrology sort of background because I did volunteering in Montana for stream management. And then I had a job with the Bureau of Reclamation focused on water quality.
Nice.
I think I'm also really interested in petrogenesis, which is something like new that I'm learning about, but learning how rocks are formed is just super fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic.
I don't know much about it, so don't ask me questions about it.
Is there anyone at school here who does that?
I think that's a little bit of what Dorsey Wanless does. And maybe Carrie Webner? I'm not 100% sure, but...
Nice. So are you thinking about grad school at this point?
What I've decided is that I am going to apply for 3 kind of high-end grad schools, and we'll see if I get in, and if I do, then the fate is decided and I'll go to grad school. Don't know if I'll do a PhD because it's a very long commitment and I don't think I have the patience or dedication for it, but you definitely need to do a PhD. But I think if I did a master's degree, I would end up kind of transitioning to ocean geophysics or oceanography.
Nice.
So that's something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. But now you work on volcanoes, is that correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
that is correct, which is also exciting. It tears my heart a little bit because I love volcanoes and I want to work with the ocean.
You can work on underwater volcanoes.
Yeah, seamounts.
Submarine.
That is true. That is true.
Combine the two together.
Yeah.
That's great. So is there a specific research project that you're working on in terms of volcanoes, or are you kind of just on separate research projects? Are you kind of just... I like volcanoes and I like to look at pictures of them. And
So I have my own specific undergraduate research thesis, which is about more of the long-term characteristics of infrasound signals at Reventador volcano in Ecuador, which that's still in the very beginning phases, but there's some really unique patterns that we're already able to see, so I'm excited to get a little bit more statistics and qualitative analyses of that data so I can present that.
That's really cool. So it's like eruption dynamics, and the patterns that you're seeing in there are like they're pretty common with each eruption or between eruptions, or
so it's a little bit more long scale. So essentially this Reventador data set, it was a year-long continuous infrasound. So you can kind of see like a little bit of like a pattern in terms of like when it's going, not when it's going to erupt, but there's a little bit of precursor action.
That's really cool.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Where are you planning on presenting this? Or do you have any plans?
Unfortunately, I already missed the deadline for AGU.
Yeah.
I was very busy over the summer and wasn't really able to come up with an abstract in time.
Yeah.
But there's a small sort of low-risk conference at Boise State with undergraduate research, so I'll definitely present at that, and I might have to look at some other conferences that would be worth presenting at, because it's definitely worth presenting at a larger conference.
Yeah.
And although like the Boise State one is going to be really cool because I'll get to see a lot of what Boise State students are doing, I want to present in a more professional way.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And you can always like shelf it until next year for AGU.
That's
Try
true.
to present again, so get some practice in smaller conferences and move up to there. So yeah.
Or in the spring, yeah. There's definitely some conferences. There's SSA in the spring, so the Seismological Society of America puts on their conference. So that's exciting. I'm excited for you because I think you're coming out with some cool research. Can you tell us a little bit about undergrad research, what that sort of looks like, what your experience has been with it?
Yeah, so my experience in particular, I had a lot of expectations going into it about what I needed to do. I think a lot of my expectations were from reading papers, and I was like, I need to put out a product that looks like this.
Yeah.
And so when I started, I was really stressed out because I was like, this doesn't look anything like a paper. I barely have any like analysis done. And Jeff Johnson, my advisor, he's like, no, you're doing great. Like, you have a lot more than I would expect. And so that kind of made me take a step back and realize, like, I guess the expectation as an undergrad is not extremely high. And I can do whatever I want with my research project. It doesn't have to be professional grade, it's part of a development.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe one day I'll get to the point where it's like ready for a paper, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, that's a really great point because I think a lot of students, a lot of undergrads are daunted by this idea of having to do research, and in the same way they read journal articles all the time in classes, and then they're like, oh my gosh, like I have to produce like this massive like thesis on my like topic. But really, yeah, it's just more about, we want to give you guys the experience to do the research because it's invaluable, right? Like you can take that to grad school with you, or you can take that into a job market with you, and people will acknowledge the fact that, oh, hey, this person did like lab work, for example. Like they built these, products from soldering and whatever else like you're doing, right? And that's all skills that you can acquire while also doing the research. And then the research is really like, hey, like, yeah, like this is what we do in our field, and this is how things advance in our field and in our science, and it just sort of opens your eyes, I feel like, to a lot more of the opportunities that are given. But
and I think it also gives you like a realistic view of what a job is going to look like, because during a job you're not going to be reading textbooks and doing assignments. You're going to be building code and doing research and trying to get new insights from data. And so getting a little bit of exposure to that through undergraduate research has been awesome.
That's awesome. Well, we're glad that you've taken on the opportunity, because really, like, it's up to the undergrad to really have the motivation and ambition to do it. But we like to sucker you guys in too.
Yeah, you sound like you're very busy, honestly.
Yeah.
Not only are you president, you're doing undergraduate research. You also have all of your like senior classes that you still have to get done. And then, are you still doing work in the lab for Jake?
I am.
Yeah. That's crazy. So what kind of work are you doing in the lab?
So a lot of the work that I do in the lab is gem building. So we have these small little pelican boxes that we outfit with infrasound sensors. So basically it's just like a lot of soldering of different electrical components, and then we do tests on them to make sure that they work, like power tests, and we do recording tests to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the filter or any other components. Currently, my lab manager, Jake Anderson, is working to expand the GEM network to include other universities who want to use the GEMS software and the GEMS themselves, so that other universities or even people who are just interested in infrasound research can have access to those sensors, so they can monitor. Well, they can monitor a lot of stuff with infrasound.
Anything, yeah. There's so much stuff that can be monitored with it, outside of volcanoes and water, right?
Yeah, I mean, water is like a pretty new thing to monitor with infrasound, which is really cool. That's another sort of side project that I'm working on with Jake.
Nice.
Involved in all of it.
Yeah.
I try to keep my feet in a little bit of everything.
Yeah. It's cool, though. Well, that's awesome. And honestly, Tamara, you're such an inspiration because you do so much stuff and you do it so amazingly. And we're just so grateful and lucky to have you on our team and also to have you in the department. I want to get back a little bit to the GeoClub stuff. So in your experience, what are your thoughts on students getting involved in clubs just in general?
I think it's really important. I really was never interested in doing clubs because I'm kind of introverted and shy, and it's like I don't really want to be a part of anything. But like now that I've been a part of it, I can say that it's definitely worth it to be involved with people who have similar interests as you, and it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone, which I hear that all the time about getting out of your comfort zone. It's like, well, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
And it just means, like, these are the kinds of things that we do in GeoClub, or the types of things that we want to do for students, is the types of things that they're not really going to be able to really do on their own, or maybe they wouldn't even think about doing on their own. Mm-hmm. So it's about getting together with other people and then just exploring these different options.
I love that idea. I love the idea of building a community of a lot of different people and getting people out of their comfort zone, for sure. If you've never been hiking, or you've never been like rock climbing, or you've never been up in the snow on Bogus Basin and you want to do some awesome activities, you should definitely talk to Tamara, because the GeoClub definitely has some great outdoor activities for everyone to join in on. Speaking of which, what is one of your favorite activities you have done in the GeoClub so far?
My favorite was the cryosphere workshop that we did last winter, which we will be putting on again this winter. Basically, we went up to Bogus Basin and we did a little bit of a snowshoe hike up to this permanent station, and they had a few different little areas that we were, I don't want to say station again, but then we had other stations that we went to, and there was one that was drone flying, there was another one that was learning how to use, I forgot the name of the tube, but you stick it in the snow and then you pull it up and it shows you how deep the snow is, and it can measure the snow water equivalent. And then my favorite one was we learned how to dig a snow pit and then kind of characterize the types of snow that are in each of the layers. And I remember looking at them on a plastic card and all the different shapes and learning about the different conditions that made those shapes. You could see some of those perfect little snowflakes and some that were melted perfect snowflakes and other ones that looked like needles and like little salt pieces, and I thought that was so cool.
That is cool. No pun intended. But super awesome. Well, that's great. I guess the last question we sort of have is, how does a club earn money? Because you guys also, like, you buy swag for people and you do all these cool activities. So how does your club either fundraise, or what do you guys do in order to get money for the club?
The majority of our money comes from ASBSU grants. Basically, every time we want to do an event and we need, for example, last year we needed snowshoes for people that didn't have their own, so we just submit grants to ASBSU. It just has to have a detailed expense, like what we're going to buy, how much money we need, and then a lot of times they give us some money. And then we have smaller fundraisers from selling swag, and we have a few ideas for how we're going to fundraise some more this year. Nice. We're thinking about doing a little rock sale or...
Oh, cool. Yeah, because, we love rocks. So we think everyone does. Yeah, everyone else does as well, right?
I know, which is why it's nice to have a club where everybody likes rocks.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, common interest.
So I actually have one more question, and it's a super serious question. How many pennies do you think would fit into this room?
It's a lot of pennies. So a penny, like a millimeter thick, right?
We're like in a room with just maybe like, what do you guys think?
I don't want to say like square footage because I have no
Maybe
clue.
like 20 feet by 20 feet.
Yeah.
It's like a square room, so
Yeah.
it's quite large.
2 yards long.
Yeah.
Or two.
It's like trying to imagine all the stars in the sky. It's just too many. Your brain just blots it out.
Yeah. You can't grasp
It just
the
says
amount
a
of
lot.
pennies that
But
would.
this is serious. We need a serious
Yeah,
answer. We
yeah.
need an answer.
Scientifically,
We
what's
need-
your scientific
Yep.
estimate?
We need to see you go through the scientific process to reach an answer here.
Science takes a while.
She's looking around the room,
She is.
finding all the little corners and.
Okay, so a stack of pennies is like 50 cents.
Okay.
And it'll take like 40 stacks to get to the ceiling.
Okay.
I believe that. Yeah.
So 40 times 50 cents is 50 pennies.
Oh my god.
So that would be
No, I can't even
40
math.
times 50.
I don't even know if a calculator could do that kind of math. If I'm just gonna throw it out there, I'm gonna say 2.63 billion.
Oh, so close. No, I'm just kidding.
The answer.
He did the math before you came.
He's even wearing a hat that says math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So you know.
He's got his math cap on.
You know what? We'll just take that as the answer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna calculate it.
Yeah.
Great. Email us your answer, and we'll we'll update people.
The
on
next
what
time I ask someone a question, I'm gonna have to calculate it beforehand now. So.
Yeah, we're learning. Well, Tamara, we want to thank you so much for coming on with us. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out to before we end for the day?
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to Jeff Johnson, obviously my advisor. He's the reason why I'm doing my research. And another shout out to Ashley, who is letting me be involved in her research and is taking me to Guatemala with her.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so fortunate to have Tamara on my team with me to go down. We're going to have fun.
And I'd like to give another shout out for Jake Anderson, who without him I would not be in the place that I am with my experience with coding. He's given me so many opportunities to learn Python and to put it into actual practice, which has been like so important.
Yeah, and Python's such a good coding language to learn. I should probably learn Python. So, Tamara, we're going to do a Python lesson down in Guatemala.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much again. This has been an awesome interview, and we hope you had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, guys. I had a lot of fun too.
Of course. If anyone has any questions about the GeoClub or undergrad research, feel free to get in contact with either Ashley or Brian or Scott or Tamara, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Cool.
Great. Well, thanks everybody, and thanks, Tamara.
See you guys later.
Bye-bye. We do have a new guest, Tamara Satterwhite. Did I say that wrong?
Tamara.
Tamara. I'm Brian Rosenblatt.
Sorry.
Well, that was an epic conversation.
We'd like to thank all of our listeners.
Tune in next time for another EpicEarth podcast.